Good morning, and we are now about to perform or present our third lab presentation or lab experiment. No, and this is about we title it as the fixed resistor. Now, allow me to explain to you, no, the lab activity. So let's begin with the template that we have. Now, but of course, this demonstration, no, will require you to present the activity as a lab presentation in a video format. So we will only use this template now merely as a guide for you to follow the sequencing of the lab report. So our lab activity again is entitled the fixed resistor. This is the third lab experiment that we will perform for the third quarter. So for the first set of our grades, no? So this will be recorded as a performance task. And for our fourth quarter, of course, we will start with number 4 already. So fixed resistor, no, is our title. Now our objective, the objective of the activity is to determine the value of the resistance of a fixed resistor. And we are going to use our guide or our technique in figuring out how to use a color coding method or technique. Now, the thing that you will need, or probably will be required from you, is that your group should prepare or at least have some pieces of fixed resistor. So you are required to have at least 5. Now, you may actually get an actual resistor, or if you want, you can find 3 different pictures in our Google. So you can check Google and then you may possibly check some 5 different kinds of resistor. But make sure that the colors are vivid or very clear so that you will not be confused. So the technique here is for you to identify the color code in the resistor. Now, of course, the activity will still require you to make some diagrams. So the pictures that you gather, the 5 different pictures, probably you can fit it here in the diagram. And then part of our procedure is, of course, will be presented in our demo later. How to figure out the value of our resistor. So you may lay it out here in our procedure. And here is our table. So first of all, if you're given 5 different resistors, you are going to mark the different color bands that is present in the resistor. So since you will be using a 4-band color coding technique, so you must see to it also that the resistor that you get, or a picture of a resistor that you get, will only have 4 different color bands. So there are resistors, guys, that will probably have 5 or 6 bands, 5 or 6 color bands. But in our case, you have to check only those with 4 color bands. So you will be marking the different colors here. You will give it its name. Like, for example, the word black for the first band, brown, maybe red, orange, and so on and so forth. So there are color bands or color names for each of this. And eventually, because of the colors that you have for your resistor, you are going to determine what is the value of the resistance in your resistor. So this is the value of the resistance in the fixed resistor. And the unit of our resistance, of course, is in ohm. So now, before you will arrive here, or before you can list the value there, maybe you'll need some kind of a computation, because based on the color codes that you have, you are going to figure out what is the digits that are involved, what is the multiplier, what's the tolerance. So therefore, there's a need for you to calculate or solve the needed value for this last column. So before you can write this last column, then you have to calculate no, using the third and the fourth bands no, for your value. So this one no, is the activity that I've been telling the class no, that it will not use any simulator. So we will be using our chart and maybe some calculators to figure out how much is our value. So this portion here should be filled up with your computation. Again, based on our uh, activity, you may write a discussion of principle about resistance, resistor, and what you observe when you actually perform the activity, and what can you write as your analysis. So again, you have several sets of values here. Then maybe you can draw some kind of an analysis there. No? So again, what are our methods of analysis? You may use comparison. You can differentiate, no? Or you can contrast values. You can identify a trend. You can point out something that is obviously high or obviously low. So those are our methods of analyzing. And again, our last value here is our conclusion, which maybe is in line with our objective. So again, this is the whole template of the activity. So here is your objective. And let's now go to our chart. And here is our color code for our resistor. So this is a 4-band color codes. And I've been telling you earlier that there are also uh, five bands. No? There are resistors that have 5 bands, not only 4 like this. No? So this is, again, if you count, so the first color there is brown, then black, then maybe orange or something like red. No? And then this last color that is probably something like gold. And because of these different colors, you can determine how much resistance is present in our resistor here. So again, the resistance is measured in ohms. Now, but I also mentioned that there are resistors that have 5 bands. So this is an example of a 5-band resistor. But for us, we will only settle with 4 bands. So if you get a picture in the net, then you have to find only 4 resistors with only 4 color bands. Now, the way it is labeled, so the 3 other colors may be found on the somewhere in the center of the resistor, and then on this bigger end of your resistor, you will have your 4th band color. So as what I've said earlier, so in our table, when we write it, or when we gather our data, so the 4 color bands, so you are going to identify what digit is present in each of the color bands. So again, the first 2 colors here, the first two, so this is the first, this is the second color, they will represent a digit that is marked on our resistor. So for example, brown represents the digit 1, whereas for digit 2, so the next color should be black. So black represents a digit that is 0. So therefore, these 2 digits together represent something like a 10. So 1 and 0 is 10. And after which, let's check the multiplier. So the 3rd band here is known as the multiplier. If this one is colored red, so similar to this one, so if we check the value of red as a multiplier, then that's equivalent to 100. So we have a first value there that is equals to 10. And if 10 is multiplied by 100, so 10 times 100 gives you 1,000. Okay, so the multiplier is used to multiply it to the digit that we already have. So again, brown is 1, black is 0, and that's 10. So 10 will be multiplied by 100, because red is equal to 100. So if you multiply 10 times 100, that's 1,000. So 1,000 ohms could be shortened as 1 kilo ohm because a kilo is also 1,000. So that's why we have here 1.0 kilo ohm. Now you'll notice that there's a value here equals to 5%. So what is this 5%? No? Now this 5% is what we call the tolerance value. Tolerance is some kind of a range of value. So where do we find the tolerance? Now the tolerance is found on the last color here on the fourth band. No? And this one I think is gold. No? So maybe if you compare this with the color of the word gold here, this color resembles to gold. No? And gold as a tolerance is equals to 5%. However, gold as a multiplier is equals to 0.1, and likewise silver. No? And I think there's a column here for none, or meaning no color. So no color cannot be used as a multiplier because there's no value for no color. No? However, if there's no color on the fourth band there above, then that's equals to 20%. No? So the meaning of the tolerance is this is not how much you're going to add or subtract to the given 1,000 ohms. So 1,000 times, for example, no, there's no color, so times 20%. 20% of 1,000 is 20. Oh no, 200. No? So your value, 1,000 ohm can go as high as plus 200 ohms or 1,000 minus 200. No? So it may probably range between 800 ohms to 1,200 ohms. No? So because the tolerance gives you the fluctuation of the fixed resistor. Although we call it as a fixed resistor and what we have in mind is a fixed tolerance value, now the fixed no, resistance no, value, which is in ohms, however, no, the tolerance will tell you that it may still have no, some kind of a range of value. So maybe no, the smaller is the tolerance, then the closer no, is your range of value. So for example, if the last digit there is gold, no, and gold is 5%, what's 5% of 1,000? If we'll consider 5% of 1,000, then that's roughly 50, no? 50 ohms. So again, no, 0.05 times 1,000. So that's 50. So again, no, the range, no, if your color here is 5%, so it will range from 1,000 minus 50 is 950. So if you add also 50 to 1,000, then that's 1,050. So the value will range from 950 ohms no, to 1,050 ohms. No? So that's how the variability of the value no, comes in. Again, we will not use a 5-color band resistor. No? So here's our possible calculation. So if what we have here is red, black, yellow. So again, the first two represents a digit. No? So remember, as a digit, no, red is if that's a what a first color, no? So a first color that is red represents 2 as a digit. The next color is black, so black represents 0. No? So you have a digit that is 20 or maybe 20. No? So here is 2 for red, 0 for black. So that's basically 20 already. Now, what about yellow? No? How much is the multiplier that we have assigned for yellow? So let's check yellow. Yellow as a multiplier is 10K or 10,000, no? A multiplier. Okay, so our value there now is equals to 20 times 10,000. So that's equal to 200,000 already. So 200,000 in shorter form is known as 200 kilo ohm. And then here's a white color, and white is, no, maybe that's a silver color, no, silver color na. And silver as a tolerance no is 10%. No? So again, so you have basically 200,000 plus minus 10%. No? So 10% of 200,000, if you are going to remove the two zeros there, two places. So maybe you'll end up with, you may end up with a value that is around 180,000 to 220,000 ohms. Okay, so again, this is our color band. So the first two digits are the digits that represent, okay, the first two color bands, I mean, represents the two digits. The third one represents the multiplier, and the last column is your, uh, this is your tolerance. No? Okay, so hopefully now you understand the activity and you can react to it. No?